Between 1998 and 2014, 6.2 million people were affected by wildfires, and 2,400 deaths were attributed to these fires. Last year, in 2020, there were 58,950 wildfires that burned over 10.1 million acres. This year, there have been more than 52,000 wildfires in the U.S. that have burned more than 6.6 million acres of land.
Wildfires are uncontrolled and unwanted fires that expand over a large territory of combustible material, which includes forest fires. Wildfires can start naturally, like with a lightning strike, or unnaturally due to a human-made spark. The risk of wildfires drastically increases with dry conditions, like periods of drought, warm conditions, and when there are high winds. Although wildfires can be beneficial to forests. Wildfires can kill insects and diseases that harm trees, along with clearing out underbrush, making a way for new growth that provides food and shelter for animals. These benefits are real, but due to climate change, wildfires are increasing.
Wildfires first began soon after the appearance of plants 420 million years ago. At this point, Earth was a very flammable planet because of the carbon-rich vegetation, dry climates, the oxygen in the atmosphere, and widespread lightning and volcanic ignitions. In modern times, the first record wildfire occurred in 1825 in Maine, Canada, and northern New Brunswick. This was the Miramichi wildfire, and it burned nearly 3 million acres and 160 lives were lost. Prior to 1850, 4.5 million acres burned yearly, and fires in California lasted for months at a time. Wildfires tended to have a cycle that peaks roughly every 30 years, and during the peak years, up to 11.8 million acres of land burned. And in California, the first devastating wildfire was the Santiago Canyon Fire in 1889 that burned through Orange, Riverside, and San Diego County. In 1908, the Forest Fires Emergency Act was passed, which allowed the Forest Service to put any available funds towards fire suppression in the case of a fire emergency. Congress would reimburse the expenses, meaning that there was nearly unlimited spending for fire suppression. In 1910, only 5 years after the creation of the U.S. Forest Service, there was the Big Blow-Up, which was a series of forest fires in Montana, Idaho, and Washington. This fire began as a series of small fires burning in the American West due to a bad electrical storm. The fires grew as wind speed increased, causing balls of fire to enter the air, rapidly spreading the fire further. The burned acreage was the size of Connecticut, causing damages of nearly $597 million. The Big Blow-Up severely impacted the national fire policy and gave evidence that the Forest Fires Emergency Act was not enough to control wildfires. Both the national and local forest administrations gave statements about how the devastation of the fire could have been prevented with more and better resources and with a larger force of people to help combat the fires. Shortly after the wildfire, Congress passed the Weeks Act, authorizing the government to purchase private land for the purpose of preservation. And in 1960, the U.S. Forest Service began keeping data on wildfires, and in the first 40 years of record keeping, there were 141 million acres of land destroyed by wildfires.
Due to the rising population of the United States, overconsumption and overproduction of natural resources has led to a great increase in forest fires. Human activity, harvesting crops, machinery, overall drier and less fertile land from overuse are all factors that increase fires. As wildfires have increased and become uncontrollably large, states have tried to prepare themselves to protect citizens. New tools and equipment have been created to support firefights on their brave quests to tame the fires. Portable pumps and tank trucks help fire departments maintain as much control as they possibly can have.
People can do more to increase their awareness and take action to prevent wildfires and do their part in slowing down climate change. More than 80% of wildfires are caused by human carelessness and can have devastating effects on communities and natural ecosystems. Therefore, educating the public around prevention techniques and how to interact with their surrounding environments is important. In 1937, FDR initiated a nationwide fire prevention campaign. This public safety campaign came in the form of Smokey the Bear, a national mascot educating the public on the dangers of forest fires. Public safety ads were extremely effective and still are in spreading environmental knowledge to the masses. As a global population, we are all aware and noticing the real effects of climate change. Communities who have been affected by wildfires are more willing and ready to help change and prevent them. But for change to truly be seen, the whole country needs to start reducing their carbon footprint and acknowledging the reality that even if your community seems safe as of right now, that could all be very different in a couple years.
Wildfires have been around for a long time, but are increasing because of climate change. Climate change is making areas of the United States drier, and so this is creating conditions for more fires to occur. Humans play a large role in the creation of wildfires. Therefore, much can be done by humans to prevent the creation of these fires. People can take steps to stop climate change individually by being more conscious of the materials that they are consuming and the impact that they have on their environment. Also, they could walk more and use more public transportation compared to individual cars in order to stop excess fuel emissions from going into the atmosphere. However, most of the work to stop climate change lies with larger industries and companies that are responsible for much of the change in the environment that has occurred. Careless ignition of fires from equipment like chainsaws, grinders, and mowers, and arson can lead to wildfires. Furthermore, it is imperative that humans are careful with the environment that they are using and are conscious of the impact that they have on the environment if they intentionally start a fire. Companies need to create structural change by choosing to use fuel and materials that are more environmentally friendly. While we as individuals can prevent wildfires caused by specific people, as a global issue, there needs to be structural change in companies and global industries. More attention needs to be paid to wildfires and their continued prevalence across the globe, and specifically in California.